Hello and welcome to Wyrd Wessex Wextra bonus episode. My name is Andy.
And I'm Craig, according to the script.
According to the script, you are, and that is what's important. What are we talking about today, Craig?
Brace yourself, guys. For fans of me butchering words.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
So today we are talking about Friday the 13th.
I think you did that pretty well. You didn't butcher that.
No, I've been practicing. It's a date that creeps up at least once, but up to 3 times a year, and it's captivated imaginations for centuries. This ominous day, a fusion of Friday's ill repute and the number 13 sinister aura, has been linked to misfortune and bad luck across cultures. While the exact origins of this superstition remain shrouded in mystery, today we'll delve into the possibilities. Andy's got a smile on his face.
Yes, I do.
Okay, we're going to take this slowly. The fear of Friday the 13th, known as paraskevidecatophobia or frigatriskadecaphobia. That was all right.
Yeah, frigatriskaidekaphobia. Yeah, you did that. You did that.
I
Well
think the
done.
second one was easier than the first one. Right, hang on. I'm going to try it again. Here we go. The fear of Friday the 13th, known as paraskevidekatriophobia or frigatriskadecaphobia. Round of applause, everyone. It'll bounce along on the words on the screen for you guys if you're watching. So
Paraskevidekaphobia.
yeah, terrible.
Well
Can
done.
have a significant psychological impact, leading to anxiety, stress, and even avoidance behaviors. A lot like trying to read difficult words.
I was going to say, what is the fear of saying long words in public?
I
I
don't know.
really
We'll
hope it's a
find
really
out.
long and complicated one.
No, it's called nopophobia. This fear often stems from a combination of cultural belief, historical events, and individual psychological factors. Friday itself carries a sinister connotation in Christian tradition. It was on a Friday, Good Friday, that Jesus Christ was crucified. This association with suffering and death has contributed to Friday's reputation as an unlucky day.
The number 13 has long been shrouded in superstition, particularly in Western cultures. One of the most prominent origins stems from Christian tradition. Judas Iscariot, the 13th apostle at the Last Supper, betrayed Jesus Christ, casting a dark shadow over the number. This association with betrayal and the subsequent crucifixion has made 13 a symbol of misfortune and ill omen. A common superstition is that gathering 13 people for a meal will lead to the death of one of them within a year. The superstition is manifested in various ways. Many buildings omit a 13th floor, some airlines skip a 13th row. There is even a fictional tale about the Empire State Building claiming that its 13th floor collapsed shortly after construction due to the weight of the building.
In Norse mythology, Loki, the trickster god, is often depicted as the 13th guest at a gathering, bringing chaos and misfortune. At a joyous gathering of the gods, Loki was the uninvited 13th guest. Ever the agent of chaos, Loki orchestrated a plan to bring about the tragic demise of the beloved god Baldr. With cunning guile, he convinced the blind god Hoder to hurl a mistletoe dart at Baldr, who was otherwise invulnerable. The dart, crafted from the one substance that could harm Baldr, struck its mark, plunging the gods into mourning and the world into darkness.
Yeah, I still think Loki gets a hard rap for that one. He was just trying to include Hoder in the games. But yeah,
Also, I mean, if you believe like fate and all that stuff that they talk about, then he has to do it. That's
yeah, exactly. With
death and rebirth.
yeah. Shout out to Aira on this one. There is a myth that the Babylonian code of Hammurabi, circa 1780 BC, omits a 13th law, suggesting that there's an ancient aversion to the number. However, the original code lacks numbering. The omission in some translation is likely due to a misunderstanding or a deliberate choice. A year with 13 full moons rather than the usual 12 disrupted the carefully planned calendar of medieval monks. This irregularity was considered unfortunate as it disrupted the timing of religious festivals. Consequently, the number 13 became associated with bad luck. However, it is worth noting that a typical century has about 37 years with 13 full moons, compared to 63 with 12. So years with 13th full moons aren't as rare as superstitions might suggest.
Now that we're reading this back, I realise I've very skeptical stance on all of this.
It's all good. It's just
Yeah.
us convincing ourselves that nothing shitty will happen on Friday the 13th.
In the 1880s, the 13 Club formed to defy the superstition surrounding the number 13. Members, including 5 US presidents, met on the 13th of every month for a dinner of 13 people. This audacious act aimed to challenge the belief that gathering 13 people at a table would lead to the death of one within a year. While the club's efforts to debunk the superstition were commendable, some colourful legends have emerged. One unsubstantiated rumour claims that at their first meeting on a Friday the 13th, all 13 members walked under a ladder into a room filled with spilled salt and broken mirrors, only to perish in a freak accident involving a runaway truck.
That is some Final Destination shit right there.
As I say, unsubstantiated.
The death card in tarot is often associated with the number 13, typically depicted as a skeletal figure riding a pale horse. This card symbolises transformation, change, and the end of cycles. It doesn't necessarily signify physical death, but rather a metaphorical death and rebirth. The card is often indicating significant life transitions, such as the end of a relationship or a job, loss, things like that. While the death card may seem ominous, it ultimately represents a necessary process of growth and renewal. It encourages us to embrace change, let go of the past, and embrace the future. In J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit, the company of Thorin Oakenshield consists of 13 dwarves, seeking to reclaim their homeland from the dragon Smaug. Gandalf deliberately adds Bilbo Baggins as the 14th.
I saw it Smaug.
No, it's Smaug. I will put money on that.
Oh, it's just being facetious.
Honestly, I used to think it was Smaug, but yeah, it's Smaug.
I forgot I put this in here because I wrote this.
I love this. I love this.
This is good. This is good. Yeah. So yeah, just as a side note and for fun, I did ask AI, Bard, as I refused to change the name because I know it's Gemini now. But
that's kind of ironic now, actually. You know, sort of Bard, the Slayer of Smaug.
Yes, but also it's now Gemini, but I refuse to change it because why the fuck did they bring out a thing called Bard and then 6 months later change it to Gemini?
In this house, we still call it we still call it Bard. We don't call it Gemini.
Yeah.
And I say in this house, being that I'm the only one that lives here.
I actually refer to it as the artist formerly known as Bard. So anyway, yeah. So just as a side note for fun, I asked Bard to summarize how much Smaug's wealth is worth, to which it said, some estimates put Smaug's wealth in the trillions of dollars, while others are more conservative, placing it in the billions. It's important to remember that these are just estimates and should be taken with a grain of salt. While Smaug's wealth is undoubtedly vast, it's difficult to compare it directly to real-world billionaires. The economy of Middle-earth is vastly different from our own, and the value of gold and other precious metals would be subject to different factors. If we were to take a more conservative estimate of, say, $50 billion, Smaug would rank among the world's wealthiest individuals. While this would place him in a very exclusive club, it wouldn't necessarily make him the richest person in the world. Real-world billionaires like Elon Musk and Bernard Arnault often surpass such figures.
And as we know, from the legend of Fafnir, at some point, Elon Musk and Bernard Arnault will be lurking over their hoard of gold and physically turn into dragons.
The convergence of Friday and the number 13 on a single day amplified the superstition. This ominous combination has been linked to various historical events, further cementing its association with misfortune. The first documented mention of the day can be found in a biography of Italian composer Gioacchino Rossini, who died on Friday the 13th. I've also read that it was traditionally Hangman's Day, though I can't find any reasoning behind it, and as this would limit hangings to 3 or 4 days a year, it seems quite unlikely. There were, however, 13 steps to the scaffold, 13 turns in a hangman's noose, and 13 pence and a halfpenny paid to the hangman.
Despite its ominous reputation, Friday the 13th serves as a reminder of the power of superstition. and our human tendency to seek patterns and meaning in the world around us. While the exact origins of the superstition may be lost to history, let's conclude with a few tales of historical events tied to Friday the 13th.
One notable example is the arrest of the Knights Templar on Friday, October 13th, 1307. This powerful and wealthy religious order, founded to protect Christian pilgrims, had amassed significant wealth and influence. However, their secrecy and wealth made them a target for King Philip IV of France. Philip, facing financial difficulty, saw an opportunity to seize the Templars' assets. He accused the Templars of heresy and other heinous crimes, including spitting on the cross and worshipping a demonic idol. These accusations were largely unfounded. However, the Templars were arrested in a coordinated attack across France. They were subjected to torture and forced confessions, leading to the dissolution of the order and the execution of its leaders. Many recanted their forced confessions later, but the damage was done. High-ranking members were burned at the stake.
A darker chapter in history unfolded on Friday, August 13th, 1539, when the Aztecs carried out a mass execution claiming the lives of over 39,000 people in a single day. More recently, on Friday, January the 13th, 1939, Australia experienced the devastating Black Friday bushfires. The fires ravaged Victoria, claiming the lives of over 500 people and destroying vast swaths of land.
Interesting side note, that is actually what we refer to when we talk about Black Friday deals.
Really?
Actually, no. It could be.
Why not? Why not?
I actually, if you look up the word gullible in the dictionary,
I was kind of humouring you. I didn't really think that would be, I was like...
Find a picture of Andy's face next to the word gullible in the English dictionary.
Yeah, mate, I'd have run with that. You should have made up some other bullshit around it, like, well, basically, they really needed money really quick, so they started selling
Actually,
really cheap.
I have this Elsa head, and it keeps away bears. Do you want to buy it?
Yes. How do I know it works, though?
There's no bears here.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, good point, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe I want bears. Maybe that's what I'm into.
So, during World War II, on September 13th, 1940, German forces launched an air raid on Buckingham Palace. Despite the palace being hit, the royal family, including King George VI and Princess Elizabeth, were unharmed. As we now know, obviously. I mean...
Spoiler warning.
Long live the Queen.
Wait.
In a remarkable display of resilience, the young Princess Elizabeth, later Queen Elizabeth II, famously remarked, "I'm glad we've been bombed. Now I can look at the East End in the face." At an air show in England in 2010, a 13-year-old British boy was struck by lightning at exactly 1313. Miraculously, he survived with only minor injuries. It's quite a weird one, that.
Yeah.
The 13-year-old boy on Friday the 13th at 1313.
On a fateful Friday the 13th in June 1952, a Swedish flight vanished over the Baltic Sea. For decades, the official story was that the plane was on a routine training mission. However, in the 1990s, it was revealed that the crew was actually involved in a secret intelligence operation, spying on the Soviet Union for NATO. The mystery deepened when Russia admitted that the Soviet pilot had shot down the plane. This revelation shed light on the clandestine operation that had been hidden for decades.
The tragic murder of Kitty Genovese on March the 13th, 1964, shocked the nation and sparked a debate about bystander apathy. The incident, which occurred in New York City, led to a re-evaluation of how individuals respond to emergencies. In a different kind of crisis, the Apollo 13 mission faced a life-threatening situation. Launched on April 11th, 1970 at 1313 CST, the spacecraft experienced a catastrophic oxygen tank explosion on April 13th. Through the heroic efforts of the crew and the mission control, the astronauts were able to return safely to Earth, and then later be depicted by Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks? Was it Tom Hanks?
I said Tom Hanks.
Oh, you did. Yes.
See,
The
guys, he doesn't listen to me.
You went quiet. You went quiet. Or maybe I just talked over you.
It's because I nearly said Tom Cruise, all right? I hesitated. I went
Never
Tom
hesitate. Go with your
Hanks.
gut.
No, I would have said Tom Cruise, which would
Tom
be
Perry.
wrong. Tom
The
Bombadil.
Yes. Hey ho, merry doll. The Bowler cyclone, one of the deadliest tropical cyclones ever recorded, struck Bangladesh on November the 13th, 1970. The storm caused widespread devastation, claiming the lives of an estimated 150 to 500,000 people. Beyond the immense human loss, the cyclone had a profound effect on the region itself. The Pakistani government's mishandling of the relief efforts fueled growing discontent and contributed towards the Bangladesh Liberation War.
On Friday, October 13th, 1972, Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 crashed in the remote Andes Mountains. The survivors faced extreme conditions, including freezing temperatures, hunger, and thirst. In a desperate bid for survival, they resorted to cannibalism, consuming the bodies of their deceased companions. After 72 days, a small group of survivors trekked through the harsh terrain to seek help, leading to a miraculous rescue.
Have you ever read about that or seen the film? I think it's Alive or something like that. It's called.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating story. It really is.
Yes. In fact, last podcast on the left did like a 3-part series, I think, on it, like a year ago or maybe
Yeah,
less than that.
it's really, real stirring stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's quite a dark story though.
It is dark, but it's also kind of heartwarming in some ways, in a very dark way, admittedly. But the fact I remember being taught about it at school. I think it might have been in prime. No, I think it was secondary school, early secondary school, and we did it in RE because obviously these guys were devout Catholics, and when they came down the mountain, the first thing, one of the first things, these people that actually reached civilization to get help, they went to the church, and they basically sought forgiveness from the Catholic priest in the church for eating their friends. And I don't know if you know how it works, but essentially, like, if that priest gives forgiveness, that is the stance of the Catholic Church. And
Yeah.
the fact that he did forgive them for that sin, for cannibalism, he forgave them. Yeah, I just remember that always stuck with me.
And if you want to know more, guys, Andy's going to write an episode on it for you.
I
So
may
just
well do. I may well do. It's not. I mean, it is
send
weird, and
send in messages.
you know, I don't know if it's quite Wyrd Wessex, but fuck it, why not?
It's kind of almost, I was going to say true crime. It's in that, it's adjacent, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
adjacent. It's adjacent. I think it's worth covering. Their story is worth telling because it's yeah.
yeah. But on the same day, an Aeroflot Flight 217 crashed near Moscow during a landing attempt in heavy fog. All 174 people on board perished in the accident. The exact cause of the crash remains unclear, but it's believed that a combination of factors, including poor visibility and potential human error, contributed to the disaster.
That was Sheremetyevo Airport, just proving that I can say it. The tragic death of rapper Tupac Shakur on Friday, September the 13th, 1996, sent shockwaves through the music industry. His untimely passing following a shooting incident in Las Vegas solidified his legacy as one of hip hop's most influential figures. In a more recent maritime disaster, the Costa Concordia cruise ship ran aground and sank off the coast of Italy on January 13th, 2012. The incident resulted in the tragic loss of 32 lives and raised serious questions about maritime safety. It became the largest passenger ship ever wrecked, with almost double the number of people on board than was on the Titanic. 32 people died, as I said, and the captain was convicted of manslaughter in 2015. Looking ahead to the future now, Friday, April the 13th, 2029 to be exact, when 99942 Apophis was discovered in 2004, it was thought to have a small chance of colliding with the Earth. But you can rest easy on that one, because since then, scientists have revised their findings, which now show that there is absolutely no risk of having the asteroid impacting the Earth or the Moon. Probably.
The Stockbridge bypass opened on an ominous Friday the 13th in 1988 and has since gained notoriety as a hotspot for paranormal activity. Its haunting story began in the summer of 1987 during the bypass's construction. Two security guards, David Goldthorpe and Stephen Brooks, no relation. Funny that it's a combination of both our names, though. Were working a night shift at an industrial site near the bypass construction site. As they patrolled the area, they spotted a strange sight, a group of children playing and singing near the road. Given the late hour and the remote location, the guards were perplexed. Concerned for the children's safety, they approached the spot only to find it empty. Intrigued but unsettled, the guards struggled to explain what they had seen. As they pondered the strange encounter, another eerie sight appeared. A tall, dark figure, cloaked and motionless, was watching them from a nearby bridge. Determined to investigate, one guard drove towards the bridge while the other kept watch over the figure. As the van's headlights illuminated the figure, it revealed a horrifying sight. A black, featureless face hovering above the ground.
Terrified, the guards fled their workplace and contacted the police. Initially dismissive, the police eventually sent 2 officers to investigate the haunting claims. The officers arrived at the bridge, sat in the car and waited. After 20 minutes, they decided to leave, and one officer turned to fasten his seatbelt. He was horrified to see the cloaked figure pressed against the car window. The figure then vanished, only to reappear on the other side of the car. The terrified officers struggled to start their car, which sputtered and shuttered before finally starting. As they drove away, they heard a strange banging noise coming from the trunk of the car. Upon inspection of the trunk at the police station, they found it empty. With no definitive explanation for the strange occurrences, the events surrounding the Stockbridge bypass in September 1987 remain a mystery to this day.
And of course, we can't talk about Friday the 13th without mentioning the iconic horror film franchise. Jason Voorhees, with his hockey mask and relentless pursuit of victims, has become synonymous with fear and suspense.
That's right, Craig. The Friday the 13th franchise has cemented the date's reputation as a night of terror. But whether you're a fan of horror or not, there's no denying the cultural impact of this superstitious date, is there?
Yeah, while Friday the 13th is widely considered unlucky in many Western cultures, there are few exceptions where the number 13 is seen as fortunate. In Italy, as well as in some Chinese culture, the number 13 is associated with good luck, especially in relation to birthdays and other celebrations. So the next time a Friday the 13th rolls around, remember it's just a day. Embrace the superstition or ignore it completely.
And until next time, stay lucky and stay weird.